Hello children, Charlie here again. Now you're thinking today, where is his book? I haven't got a book today because I'm going to tell you a story, and the story I'm going to tell you today is the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, there was a boy called Jack. He lived with his mother and they were very, very poor. All they had was the house that they lived in and a lovely cow called Daisy. One day, Jack's mother said, "Oh, Jack, we're so poor. We've got no money for food. You're going to have to take lovely Daisy away." Jack said, "Oh, Mum, what do you mean take her away?" Mum said, "Well, Jack, you're going to have to take her to the market and sell her for as much money as you can get." Jack said, "Okay, Mum, I'll do that." Jack went outside and took Daisy the cow by her harness and walked solemnly and sadly down the road. On the way to the market, he met a strange, funny little man. The man said to him, "Oh, hello, what a lovely cow. Do you think that I could have your cow?" And Jack said, "Well, only if you give me some money." And the man said, "Well, no, I haven't got any money, but what I do have are some lovely magic beans." And Jack thought to himself, magic beans. That might be something that is very good indeed. So Jack said, "Okay, I'll take your magic beans and you can have my cow." Jack said a fond farewell to Daisy, but was very excited because he had these magic beans. He skipped all the way back home to his mum, and his mum said, "Well, Jack, how did you do? Did you do well? Did you get some good money?" And Jack said, "Oh, Mum, I did better than that. I got these." And he held out his hand and he showed his mum the magic beans. His mum looked at the beans and looked at Jack and then looked at the beans again. And then she said, "Oh, you daft apers, why on earth have you got magic beans? Where's the money? We can't live on magic beans, you twit." And she took the magic beans and she threw them out of the window. And she said to Jack, "Now you go straight to bed, you silly, silly, silly little boy." And Jack went to bed, feeling sad and hungry because he'd had no supper. The next morning, Jack woke up, but it was very, very dark in his room. He looked over to his window and he could see that there was a huge green leaf shading where the sunlight normally shone in. He popped his head out the window and he looked up and up and up and up to the biggest beanstalk you have ever seen. He shouted to his mum, "Mum, Mum, Mum, look out the window. There's a giant beanstalk." His mum said, "Now look what you've done. Not only have we got no food, but now we've got this big giant beanstalk growing in our garden. Oh, what has become of us?" Jack saw that his mum was upset and said, "Look, Mum, I'm going to climb to the top of that beanstalk because I am sure that at the top of that beanstalk there will be something that can save us." So Jack started to climb. He went up, up, up. Can you climb with me? Up, 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 up to the very top of the beanstalk. He looked down and he could see his house far beneath him. But the top of the beanstalk was poking through the clouds. And so Jack climbed off and stepped onto the clouds. In the distance, he could see a giant castle. So he set off towards that, thinking that maybe somebody would be there that could give him some food. When he got to this castle, he saw that the door was a giant door. And so he knocked on that door. Knock, knock, knock. And a much littler door opened, and out popped a little lady. And she said, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And Jack said, "My name's Jack, and have you got any food that you could give me? Because I'm very, very hungry." And the little lady said, "Oh, come in." Jack went inside the castle, and when he got inside, he noticed that the castle was full of giant furniture, giant cups, giant pictures. Everything was giant. And he said to the little lady said, "Who lives in this castle?" And the lady said, "Oh, that's my husband. He's a giant." "Well, that explains all the giant furniture," said Jack. The lady directed Jack into the kitchen and gave him some lovely food, and Jack ate ferociously because he was so hungry. While Jack was eating, he heard the sound, a terrible sound, a sound that terrified him more than anything he had ever heard before. It was the sound of a giant. "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." Jack was terrified. The little lady said, "Quick, quick, hide in my oven. It'll be safe there." The giant came in. He looked around. He said, "Where is that rascally Englishman?" And the little lady said, "Oh, no Englishman here. I don't know what you're talking about. Go off to your counting house. Go and play with that golden goose you like so much." The giant stomped off and went to sit in one of his big chairs and picked up from beside the chair a giant goose. This goose was a special goose. Jack crept out from the oven and saw, as the giant stroked the goose produced golden eggs. Jack, who was a clever boy, thought to himself, "I know, if I can get that goose, me and my mum will be set up forever." So Jack waited for the giant to fall asleep. And when the giant fell asleep, Jack crept out from his hiding place and gently picked up the giant's goose. He turned to go away, started to walk away, and as he was walking away, the goose squealed, "Master, master, somebody's trying to take me! Help, help!" Jack tried to silence the goose, saying, "I'm your master now." The giant woke up with a start and said, "Who is taking my goose?" Jack ran off at a lick, out of the door and across the clouds back to the top of the beanstalk. The giant, furious that this person had taken his golden goose, jumped up and started to stomp across the clouds after Jack, shouting, "Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." Jack got to the top of the beanstalk just in time before the giant could get to him, and quickly, with the goose tucked under his arm, started to climb down, 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 down as fast as he could to get to the bottom of the beanstalk. Behind him, the giant was starting to close in and still shouting his terrible, terrible refrain. Fee, fi, fo, fum! I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread. As Jack neared the bottom of the beanstalk, he shouted to his mother, Mom! Mom! Quick! Fetch me the axe! Jack got to the bottom of the beanstalk just in time, passed the goose to his mother, received the axe from his mother, and started to hack away at the beanstalk. The giant looked down and in terror knew what was going to happen. Crack went the beanstalk once. Crack went the beanstalk twice. Crack went the beanstalk thrice. And all of a sudden, the beanstalk with the giant came tumbling down, down, down with a crash. The giant was dead. And Jack and his mother now had the golden goose that laid the golden eggs. No more would they be hungry. No more would they be poor. So they all lived happily ever after. Fantastic. I'm really, really excited to say that some of the reception children will be coming back to school next Monday. It'll be so good to see your happy faces. And if you don't come back to school, I'll be here next week to tell you another story. Bye-bye, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye. Take care.